The story begins with Seiji, our protagonist. A young man who was visited by Shinigami said that if she didn't kiss, she would die. The guy thought he was a scammer, but after seeing him go through his door, he had no doubt that he was really a Shinigami and let him explain what happened. Yuri, as the girl is called, gave him a black booklet. The booklet he gave him has the power to pair people and make them kiss. But if you just write someone's name at random and they don't kiss anyone in the next 24 hours, they go to sky. And then Yuri tells him that he wrote his name. At first, Seiji had no intention of kissing a person to save her, but after he drove Yuri out of his house, and this called him a murderer, the guy agreed to kiss her before the neighbors filed a lawsuit. The guy thought that by kissing Yuri the matter would be resolved, but the girl explained that doesn't work. What they must do is write on the booklet the name of another person next to theirs. Only if you see that individual she will be saved. He only wrote his name and that of someone else, as he did with the ministers. Seiji went to school, and taking advantage that no one could see her, Yuri accompanied him to find a girl to kiss. Thanks to this, we discover that our protagonist is in love with Akane, the typical perfect girl in school. When she approached to talk to Seiji, we found out she could see Yuri, as he had even made a joke with her. The guy tried to defend her by telling the furry girl that she was nobody, but Yuri don't shut up and replied that how could he say that if they kissed. This ended her graves because Akane is not a perfect girl. She is a jealous mad woman, or the typical Japan's Yandere, who is in love with Seiji and hoped that this one day would be declared to her, but now and therefore was unfaithful to her. She will kill him. After discovering that Yuri is immortal and that the duo tried to escape the sick woman without success, Yuri resorted to writing his name alongside Seiji to save himself. This, besides making them kiss, pairs them for a lifetime. After seeing Akane's true way of being, this didn't make Seiji illusion. Yuri revealed two things to them. She is not a Shinigami, she is a cupid who is responsible for matching people, and added her name to those of them. He also joined Seiji. The explanation for this is that when he tried to save her from the mad woman, he felt strange next to him, so he wants to find out if it's love. This didn't make Akane a bit of a fun, but fortunately, our protagonist now that is Yuri's partner, can't die as she has an angelical blessing, something that also applies to the sick, but good. During the following days, Yuri moved to Seiji's house, manipulated her family's memory so they didn't have problems with her, and presented our protagonist to her supervisor, Coralie, an angel who makes sure that the girl does her cupid job. Work which now must be done alongside Seiji and Akane, because if the girl doesn't work, they will disappear. Akane did not want to help the monkey, but neither way, her happy life with Seiji is in danger. While this was assimilating everything that happened in the last few days, he approaches Yuzu, a girl who, when he saw him alongside Yuri, thought he was deceiving Akane, so he stole the booklet and fled. After Seiji pursued her, saved her from a fall, saw Yuzu create a shield and dealt with Akane's jealousy that would not allow a blonde to break homes to ruin her future marriage. We discovered that Yuzu stole the booklet because he knows the power he has and wanted to become Akane's partner. However, when they reached her, Yuri explained that the booklet only works when used by angels, so as she can't be the pair of the furry, he tried to convince her that her feelings for Seiji are false. She tells her that the best thing for her life is that she be her partner, but Akane rejected her, first because her love for Seiji is real and second because they are sisters, however they are stepsis, the same father, but of different mother. Yuri is a pervert, so she was going through it well, and to make the thing more fantastic, she added Yuzu's name to her own. In other words, they are now a four-person relationship. To officialize it, the blonde had to kiss someone, but although her target was her sister, she stumbled and ended up kissing Seiji. The next thing is already known. Days pass and we meet Seiji's sister, Aqua, a teenager in the rebellious stage, who didn't have a good first encounter with Akane. Yuri and Yuzu share hobbies, so they quickly became friends. Not only that, but they even opened a love clinic in the school. Their policy is only to pair people who feel the same for each other and have yet to take the next step, and as several of these potential couples have not visited their clinic, they have to send someone to look for them. That's where the Seiji comes in. While Seiji and Akane were looking for a couple, they encounter Mari, a friend of the mad woman who has been very distracted lately. Seeing how he interacted with the teacher, the group made a strategic meeting. Yuri and Yuzu had discovered that the professor is in love with the girl, but Akane and Seiji, by a few words from the girl about how someone had been exhausting her lately, believed Mari hated the teacher. Still, the sick duo wanted to pair them because the guy's feelings are beautiful. Seiji rushed over what Yuri suggested. They were going to ask each of them what they really felt, which didn't go well because while the professor ran away from the crazy people who wanted to question him, he heard Mari tell our protagonist that he couldn't get out with him as it's not right. This redoubled the professor as he is in love with the girl for everything that has helped him, but the girls did not surrender and decided to pretend a rape to kidnap Mari and that the professor would save her. It was supposed that Yuri would be the kidnapper, but just when he was going to start his role, a real assault occurred, and they too kidnapped it. The worst thing is that the crazy wanted the professor to get to the hero. Unfortunately, the thieves were stupid and were stunned to see Yuzu motivate them to save Mari. Luckily, Akane appeared as moments before the guys hurt Seiji when he tried to save Yuzu from a shot. He took care of them. At the end, the professor confessed to Mari as a normal person, with words, while more than confession asked him to listen to what he feels for her when they stop being a teacher and a student. The guy hoped to be rejected, but the girl told him that that's her intention. She knows it, so she knows that she'd only be confessed after she finished school, so her idea was always to wait for it. After everything calmed down, you only thanked Seiji for saving her. One day we see the first interaction between Aqua and Yuri. Although they live in the same house, the girls had never met each other. After Yuri 1 came up, Aqua was confused, because according to her Akane is his brother's girlfriend. Then Yuri updates the joke and tells him about all the girlfriends that has Seiji. This appeared just in that. So her sister took advantage of hurting him. Aqua felt weird about her brother's relationships, and as she thought about it when she returned home that day, she met Yuri and Yuzu. This latter had heard about her, and she didn't get along so well with her brother thanks to the crazy one, so I wanted to ask her if she knows any defect she has. The girl plans to abuse that information to ruin Seiji's image with her sister, but to her surprise, Aqua defended her brother and didn't tell them anything. Seeing this change of attitude, the madman considered the option of being in love with him. Just in that appeared in front of them Stolas, a being who was locked up years ago for attacking Small. After he could see her, Yuzu ran away and Aqua did the same. While he was running away, our protagonist stumbled upon the blonde, and when he heard that Stolas had returned, he went straight with his sister. It turns out that in the past, she fell in love with her sister and wants to make her girlfriend. Seiji reached her sister in time, and although she didn't want her help at first, she ended up accepting her as she had already done in the past. Not long after, the anti-sourcing forces appeared and captured the monster. But the protagonist saved her sister did not change the treatment that. Days pass and at Yuri's request, Seiji has an appointment with her. While in the park, they saw a scene worthy in a typical romance TV show. A guy was with his girlfriend quietly, but from now on all his lovers began to appear. However, instead of fighting between them, they agreed to break this idiot person. Our proto was also caught up the fight. Just before it started, he tried to get the guy to apologize. When he managed to get out of the riot, Yuri congratulated him and kissed him for his actions, passing by explicitly telling him that he could fall in love with him. But it's just, that's what the kiss has not burned. It turns out that our protagonist had the booklet, and when the fight began, it went out flying and stood next to a lit candle. Now that Yuri has lost her tool to work, the romance they created with her is likely to disappear. Coralie did not know the consequences of destroying the booklet, so she returned to investigate. However, the next day, our protagonist confirmed that the couples they created were destroyed, because when it met Akane, this didn't react as usual. She ignored it, and everyone already know. Yuzu went to mock the guy, however his happiness lasted until they told him what happened with the diary. While the girl complained to them, Tiara appears, another Cupido who is a friend of Yuri. This knows about his accident and explains that the couples who did with the diary have not disappeared. Proof of this is that when looking for the people who had coupled, the group discovered that everything was still the same. Why did Akane ignore Seiji if she was in love with him? It's simple. This was trying to have one of those typical pair games where one pretends to be angry and the other consented. Tiara gives her tool to Yuri. She has ceased to be a stunt, so she no longer needs to work. The girl then rewrites everyone's names on the cell phone her friend gave her. One day as they head to school, Seiji and Yuri see Yuzu in a school that look rich. It turns out that the girl studies there, but as she wants to be with her sister, she pretends to attend, and when she no longer enters the academy, her double is responsible for taking classes. This was already known to Akane. So when the group played the theme that day, the girl told Yuzu to return to her academy. If your family find out what you've been doing, it will arise a problem. She is taken care of by Seiji, so she is in good hands. However, to tell him the truth, he didn't like the blonde Yuzu at all. From the first time they met, he feels a great love and admiration for his sister, so it hurts him a lot when she rejects her feelings. While thinking if they could one day be something else, an old man appears. Thanks to the shield he can create, he got rid of it without any problems. Unfortunately, her shield also broke the floor, and she was right next to a river. The girl fell on this and thought she would die, but just in that Seiji saved her. Although it was not very difficult, the river was low. The girl felt a great frustration, so she dropped it all with our forehead. She says he won't let her stay with her sister. Sooner or later, he will take her away. Seiji followed her because he had kept fearing he would find her sad, but when he heard them he rejoiced because his worries were unnecessary. The guy congratulates Yuzu for her determination and, even for her part, was confused. Literally, he just insulted him and this praised him. So for a moment, she's good with him and thanks him for his words that made her happy. Yuri appears, who using one of the mobile app, discovers that the love compatibility between Seiji and Yuzu is great. On a normal day of class, a girl approached the duo for a love advice. There is someone who is interested in you and wants to get close to that person. Yuri agreed to help her, so he told her that as long as there were no problems they could turn them into a couple. All they needed was the person's name to return it to their boyfriend. But as Shirkimi, the lover, didn't know, they stayed looking for the person after classes. But since Yuri did not come together, only Seiji and the girl would appear. But that this was delayed was not a coincidence. When they were away from school, Shirkimi revealed it to him, so that assured them they were alone. It turns out that the guy is Akane's cousin and wants to know how this girl fell in love with someone like him. She is a sadistic, very careful. Obviously Shirkimi is mindful. Proof of this is that when Yuri told Akane about the girl, he went to save him immediately. During what took time to arrive, Shirkimi demonstrated how sadistic he is, torturing Seiji. When she came to her crazy cousin, Akane complained to her for always doing the same thing. We discovered that the girl has a passion for stealing the belongings of others and destroying them in front of them, so after trapping Akane at the fishy trap, the woman planned to break our protagonist. However, before he could do so, Yuzu came to protect his sister. As the three cousins were arguing, Seiji released himself and asked them why they were fighting if they were family. Hearing this, Shirkimi realized that they hadn't told her her little secret, but before she could tell her, Akane begs her not to do it. Seeing her cousin behave like a girl in love gives her a shame, so she was going to kill Seiji to get her back to normal, but since it was just that Yuri appeared, she changed the plan. Instead of killing our protagonist, she would pair up with him and so steal the boyfriend from his cousins. Using her skills, the girl silences everyone and asks Yuri to make her Seiji's partner. To her surprise, this is denied, although as Angel can't understand very well what love is, she can feel that her desire to be Seiji's boyfriend is not due to love. Then Shirkimi decided to return to Plan A. To her unfortunate, before sending the protagonist to the sky, she received a call from Akane's mother, who wanted her to return. The group saved themselves from the madness, and after they left, Akane apologized to the boy for getting him into his family problems. However, while apologizing, Seiji noticed that he fainted, but when he looked at him, Yuri realized he wasn't breathing. Our protagonist, on the other hand, wakes up in heaven. After Coral and in his true form gave him the scare of his life, this takes him with the god. That god does not look like God was not the only surprise, as it turns out that 1, the guy is the father of Yuri, and 2, is a person who has love for all. God wanted to make a request to the boy. In a future, Yuri will inherit the post of God, so he wants him to teach him about love. To understand it is the most important thing for God. Her daughter could never understand it, but when she met him she noticed that something had changed within her. To not doubt his words, God asks him to kneel. That's where Devil comes. This wishes Yuri to inherit his title as a beautiful girl would be a great addition to hell. While the old men were discussing the future of the girl, Seiji tells them that the most likely it will acquire the title it will acquire. The most likely it will be that the girls will get bored one day. This they already know, but sooner or later, Yuri would have to replace one of them. Since God had taken life for a while to Seiji, this could return to his body. The girls had tried to revive him using the others' film logics, and even Yuzu was going to kiss him, but Seiji returned before he could do so. The summer holidays are coming, and as a typical school anime, the group goes to the beach. Everything went well until our protagonist appeared to Shirkimi. As they were alone, this told him about the upbringing that Akane received from her mother. It turns out that this turned her daughter into an emotionless being. Since I saw him interested, the girl offered to tell him the whole story of her family and our protagonist, so he did not resist and accepted. Thanks to this, she discovers that Akane and Yuzu belong to the main families, while she is part of the family that serves the main. Apart from that, the rivalry that the main families have has grown even more as the mothers of their cousins do not like each other. Shirkimi couldn't tell him the rest as Seiji realized that what he was doing was not right, so he asks him to stop. The girls were fighting with Stolas while the protagonist was not. The demon got a hit with Akane and Altog. She could hurt her. She ended up sending him to the sky. After the trip to the beach, the group gathered at the school to do a test of value. However, the most important thing that happened was that they met with a real ghost, and that at a time when they were alone, Akane asked Yuri to leave his game of friends with Seiji. The point bothering him. She is supposed to be her girlfriend and that the guy likes, but only treats her like she's her friend and doesn't show her love. When Yuri told her she didn't know what that was, Akane replied that it wasn't about knowing. The only important thing is that you should feel a discomfort in your heart, whether you are happy or if you are sad. Because of Akane's words, Yuri wanted to experience that discomfort in the chest. After they saved her, we discovered there would be a festival in the city and the girl would go see her. Yuri wanted Seiji to accompany her, but this man did not want to, and since that day she would visit the aquarium with Akane, she could not. Yuri was disappointed, so she decided to go to the festival alone, but since this would be at night she had some time, so she went to buy a sleeve. Casually, in the library, he stumbled upon a handsome man who helped him reach the manga she wanted. Yuri gave him potential, so he asked if he liked the guys. Unfortunately not. He likes girls and she has caught his attention. The guy proposes to go for a drink, and although Yuri accepted, the girl discovered that the boy's behavior is totally opposite to Seiji's. He is not happy, he is happy, he is not screaming. But even though he seemed like a perfect being, when he tried to kiss him in the festival, he stopped him. Yuri realized that he would rather do all those romantic things with Seiji. The girl planned to go back home to see him, but halfway she discovered the boy had arrived at the festival. This, since she saw how illusory she was with going and didn't want her to complain to him later. When Yuri tells her this, she kisses him and apologizes for the problems in the morning. The girl still doesn't understand the feeling she spoke to Akane, but she knows that if she had to choose someone to love, it would be Seiji. While doing a job, the Akane mother appears in front of Shirkimi. She has learned about his daughter's relationship and wants all the details. So when she learned of her relationship, her mother complained to her for failing in her purpose. Not only that, also send people to eliminate the protagonist. With the help of his sister, she could save himself, and thanks to Shirkimi, he learned of the situation. For her part, while she was locked up, Akane began to remember how she fell in love with Seiji. At first, he was a boy like others he did not know, but because one day the cat escaped, they met in a street while the boy was chasing him. Seeing that despite being hurt and not being able to observe anything, this worried about having shocked her very strongly, Akane began to awaken some interest in him, interest which went up to become in love. But now he has to destroy it. Returning with Seiji, Shirkimi proposed to rescue his beloved, as he doesn't want to see his cousin suffer because he has to get away from him. At first, our protagonist didn't want to do so, as Akane has always asked for privacy in her life, but her sister convinced him that those are idiots. Yuzu learned what his aunt did, so he went along to save her. The driver did not want to, but her mistress was eager to die that day. After defeating the guards at the entrance, the girls came with Akane, but unfortunately, this has been the one before. Kane hurt her sister, made it clear to them that they had no need to save anyone, and asked them to leave. However, both Yuzu and Yuri go without her. In the middle of their discussion came Akane's mother. She asked them to leave, but that was exactly what Shirkimi came with our protagonist. And she wanted to witness the madness that would cause a meeting between her boss and Seiji, so she neutralized Aqua and immobilized the guy to take him with her. When she saw him, the lady ordered her daughter to kill him. Only in this way will she forgive that she had fallen in love. Akane was going to do it, but when Seiji began to talk to her, he could not do more, broke in tears and asked for forgiveness. Despite the orders of her mother, the girl can't kill the person she loves. This delighted his friends and disappointed Shirkimi, but the thing had not yet ended. If his daughter didn't kill the boy, the woman would do it herself. Luckily, that was exactly where Yuzu's mother appeared. She had been called by her driver to save her daughter, but before taking her home, she noticed the cut she had on her face. The woman's behavior is based, "Don't touch my children." So I was going to hit Akane's mother. The old women started fighting, and while they were in that, the girls explained to Seiji that they didn't get along well. Because Akane's mother, despite being in love, had to forget about her beloved, and this is almost the family rules, and this men went with Yuzu's mother. Because of this, and probably so that she doesn't suffer the same as her, Akane was raised to feel nothing, but she wants to decide for herself her life, so she interrupts the fight and tells her mother that she can't ignore her love for Seiji. So if she leaves her to be next to him, she will accept any punishment she imposes on her. Thanks to Yuri, especially to Yuzu's mother who reminded the old woman that she was identical to her young daughter, she accepted, but told Akane that if the slightest possibility was presented to him to kill the boy, he would do so. At the end of the day, the only ones who lost were Shirkimi, who wanted to see the world burn, and Yuzu's mother. This latter because she learned that her daughter is in love with Akane, and that she is in a relationship with Seiji. By the way, as the furry girl celebrated the victory, Yuri began to feel something strange. Days pass and the group receives the worst news of all. Shirkimi was transferred from school and is now her companion. This is because Akane's mother and Yuzu want Seiji to watch for the good of their daughters. When he had the opportunity, Yuzu asked the girl what her intention was. By his story, it is obvious that he accepted the job for something. Shirkimi answers that her goal has not changed. It will destroy Akane's relationship so that it returns to being the one before. Therefore, you shouldn't worry about what you do because you're supposed to have the same intentions. Then, Shirkimi asks the girl if she doesn't want her sister's relationship to be destroyed, because she is also in love with Seiji, and if Akane breaks up with him, her 4-year relationship will end. Yuzu just answers her that she is crazy and goes away. The girl meets with the group who is discussing what to do in case if Shirkimi gets the evil. Seiji suggested that if they show you how well your relationship is, maybe you don't try to destroy it. When she hears that, Akane proposes that she then kiss her in public. In this way, everyone will know that they are a happy couple, and a part she owes it because she is always who kisses him. Our protagonist accepts, but on one condition, he must deal well with Yuri. This doesn't make the girl illusion since she hates Yuri, but she accepted. Upon returning to the hall, Mari informs the class that the cultural festival is approaching and they will do a theater. The only thing that was missing was to choose the cast, so the class decided that Akane would be the protagonist. This accepted, but asked that Yuri be his rival, as they can't get bad, to take advantage of the work to shake his go in it. On the other hand, Yuzu has been reflecting on Shikimi's words. Because of this, he slipped on a ladder and fell on Seiji, to whom, without having control of what he was doing, he ended up kissing. After this, Yuzu did not return to school. Since the guy will also participate in the work after a few days, our protagonist will look for her to deliver the script. The day of the work, Yuzu came to the conclusion that he was not in love with Seiji, but he does not rule out that could happen. Her sister did not get angry with her, because helping her discover what she really wants is her job as a sister. When things seem to have returned to normal, Shikimi approaches Yuri to tell him that Akane and Yuzu are getting closer and closer to Seiji, while she no longer moves, so she asks her if that seems right for her. Because Seiji's parents are on a trip and Aqua would have a meeting with her friend and stay to sleep at her house, our protea would spend the weekend alone with Yuri, or that I thought because not even 5 minutes passed when Akane appeared at her door. The boy was watching him, so he knew they could be alone for a whole weekend. What I didn't know was that Yuri lives with Seiji, almost nothing. After hurting them for hiding that, it appears in the house Yuzu and not long after Shikimi. This last one was not in the foot to let it stay, but as the furry knows that the girls did not tell their mothers the place they would go to, they had to let it stay so that it did not open the hook. It is obvious that with 4 mad women who don't control themselves and a guy who doesn't care about the cohabitation wasn't the healthiest. The boy kept his word and kissed Akane. The next day Aqua returned earlier than expected, and when she saw her brother surrounded by girls in a madness, who had been provoked by them because they fought while the guy slept, the girl thought what he wasn't and maddened his brother for being an all-mine. After a few days and again, Stolas appeared in front of Aqua to return her to her beloved, but this time it was different. At first the girl was afraid, but when she met Coral and he tried to save her from Stolas, she understood that it was time to face him. Aqua did so, and with this she got rid of Stolas forever, since as she had never rejected the demon directly, this thought he had chances of returning her to his beloved, but now with the blow those hopes disappeared. Not long after his brother arrived concerned, and although he did nothing, his presence caused Aqua to change her opinion about him, since he has realized that despite having 3 brides, he still worries about her. Before being attacked by Stolas, Aqua had gone out with Yuri and, like Akane, mentioned that she did not treat her brother as if he was her boyfriend. Because of her words, the girl began to reflect on that, and unfortunately in the middle of this she stumbled upon Shikimi, who offered to listen to her problems. About what the girls have told him, also that despite loving Seiji in his own way, when they think about how he shows his feelings to him, his mind clouds. Then, Shikimi suggests hiding from our protagonist and from everyone until he discovers that Yuri took care of her, and for the next few days the group was worried not to find her. So it was a week, and it wasn't until Seiji asked the girls' place to Shikimi that they could find her. When the Furious left the girl who had hidden, our protagonist got angry as it seemed he had done it for a whim. However, when he angrily asked Yuri for answers, she ignored them and, motivated by Shikimi, asked him what he thought of her. Because of the heat of the moment, the guy replied that since he met her it has been a hassle to his life. Yuri interpreted that Seiji doesn't care about her, so she started muting her body. In this case, the devil has achieved his goal. His had hired Shikimi to get Yuri to become a demon and start working as one. When the girl finished her transformation, she blamed our protagonist for her change, which was missing. Yuri returned with Devil to Hell, and although it was impossible for them, you wanted them to go to save her. Although she is not guilty of anything, our protagonist would accompany her to help her and fix her mistakes. Akane, on her part, would not move a finger, and she has never been affected by the Yuri, so she has no reason to save her. Since there was no time to convince her, the group left her behind, and with Coralie's help they reached heaven. After dealing with God's anger, that Yuri reveals to the group why Yuri became a demon. It turns out that her mother is the previous leader of Hell. After revelation, God helps them get to Hell using a pipe. Returning with Yuri, she gave Shirkimi a therapy that seems to be dragged. She tells him that his passion for stealing things from others is because only in this way he gets people to pay attention to him. When they reached Hell and despite having disguises, the demons soon discovered they were human. While the group came across Shirkimi, and not only that, Akane appeared from nowhere, and this after matriating all the Hell tells them that she is only there because she owes a favor to Yuri. Upon arriving with Yuri, the furry man tried to bring her back to normality at the end of the day, but as that didn't work, our protagonist asked the girl to continue to be a discomfort in her life. Yuri answered her with a joke, and thanks to this, Seiji realized there is still something of the old Yuri in her, so she asks her to return to being the one before and using advice that the old man gave her, asks her what she wants her to do. After having an internal battle, Yuri is honest with her feelings and asks her to love her. That's all she needs to be able to show what she feels for him. Our protagonist accepts, and Yuri returning to normality and Shirkimi of passage. Not only that, but he proposes that in exchange for stopping stealing, he will include her in Seiji's harem so that she gets all the attention she lacks. This is the end of this anime. And that's the end of the summary of this wonderful anime. I hope you liked it. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button, as it helps and motivates me to keep creating more content for you. See you soon.